My name is Iris Franke. I'm 29 years old, and on what should have been the happiest morning of my life, I was sitting alone in my car outside the wedding venue, my white dress folded across the seat beside me, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. For weeks I had imagined this moment, the soft organ music, the glow of the aisle, the way Michael's eyes would find mine, steady and certain. We'd been together for 4 years, and everyone said we were perfect, solid, destined. But the text that lit up my phone that morning was the kind that tears your destiny apart in seconds. It was from Larry Michael's groomsman, and my old friend. He was the one who introduced me to Michael in the first place. Larry never sent me cryptic messages, but this time just 2 words. Listen alone. My stomach dropped. Seconds later, a voice note appeared. 3 minutes and 21 seconds long. I pressed play. At first, I thought it was a prank. But no, there was Michael's voice slurred slightly from the alcohol, yet too clear to be mistaken. After the honeymoon, I'm done with Iris. Leah and I are moving in together. We already found an apartment. Leah, my sister, my blood. The words kept coming like knives, each deeper than the last. The wedding's just to secure Iris's trust fund. Her grandma left it, but it only unlocks after she's married. We'll split it in the divorce. Iris is too naive to catch on. She thinks Leah and I hate each other just because we argue at family dinners. God, she's clueless. Laughter followed, other voices egging him on. Then Michael again boasting about Tuesday nights when I was at yoga class, how Leah would slip over how they joked about me being blind. Every word was gasoline on my chest. My breath came short, shallow, my palms slick against the steering wheel. By the time the recording ended, I wasn't the same woman who pressed play. I wanted to vomit, scream, collapse. Instead, I sat frozen the world outside my windshield, blurring into streaks of color. My fiancé, my own sister, 6 months of betrayal played back to me like some cruel confession. Larry had written one last line, I'm sorry, but you need to know. I closed my eyes, fighting the rising hysteria. My makeup was already ruined, black streaks cutting down my cheeks. But oddly beneath the heartbreak, another feeling was forming. Not despair, not weakness. Control. Michael thought I was naive. Leah thought I was blind. They mistook kindness for ignorance. I wasn't going to run. I wasn't going to disappear and let them win. I was going to burn their little scheme in front of everyone they loved. My fingers trembled as I dialed Leah's number. It rang once, twice. Then she answered, her voice sugar sweet, like she hadn't been gutting me for half a year. Iris, aren't you supposed to be getting ready? I swallowed the bile. Oh, I'm ready, Leah. Question is, are you? Silence, then a nervous laugh. What do you mean? I know, all of it. Michael's voice was very clear. 6 months, Tuesdays, apartment hunting, and the trust fund. Her breath hitched. I almost smiled at the sound of her panic. You wouldn't. I would. And I will. Unless... I paused, savoring the shift in her tone from arrogance to fear. Unless you're the one walking down that aisle. You're insane. No insane is plotting to rob your own sister. Insane is thinking you wouldn't get caught. You love Michael fine. Then marry him. In front of everyone. Let the world see your true faces. She sputtered. Iris, please. 30 minutes, I cut her off. Be in the groom's suite. Put on the dress. Or I'll make sure Mom, Dad, and every guest hears that recording before the ceremony. I hung up. My hand shook as I lowered the phone, but my resolve didn't. Through the tinted glass of my car window, I could see guests arriving, carrying pastel envelopes and bright smiles, completely unaware of the storm about to break. I leaned back, closed my eyes, and whispered the words my grandmother had told me years ago. The ones I never thought I'd need to remember. Greed always reveals itself at the altar. Today she'd be proven right, and I would be the one to make sure of it. The church bells rang soft and solemn, but inside my chest, the rhythm was jagged, chaotic. I stayed hidden in the back veil, lowered over my face, not from modesty, but to shield the tremors that threatened to betray me. Somewhere upstairs, Leah was being zipped into my dress. My sister, my betrayer, wearing the gown I had chosen months ago with tears in my eyes and dreams in my heart. Now it clung to her body like an accusation. I had given her no choice. If she refused, the recording would spill into every phone at that ceremony. If she complied, she'd be trapped in the spectacle she and Michael thought they controlled. Either way, they lost. Larry slipped into the pew beside me. His eyes darted toward the aisle, then back to me. You sure about this? He whispered. I didn't answer with words. I just nodded once, sharp cold. His hand brushed mine, steadying, not intimate, and I knew the camera lens hidden in his jacket pocket was ready. The music shifted. The procession began. First Michael's groomsmen, his college friends smirking and oblivious. Then my bridesmaids, their dresses the same soft blush I'd once thought would frame my happiness. I saw Larry's subtle nod to one of them. She was in on the plan too, her phone angled just so. Then Michael appeared. He looked devastatingly confident. Dark tucks pressed to perfection, grin, wide jaw, sharp. He scanned the crowd, soaking in the admiration like a man stepping into his coronation. My stomach twisted. That smile used to be mine. Now it was poison. The doors closed, a breathless hush. Then the music swelled, the doors reopened, and there she was. Leah, my sister cloaked in lace and silk, her veil drawn low. She walked with practiced grace, though I caught the stiffness in her shoulders, the way her hand trembled around the bouquet. Michael's eyes lit up. He thought it was me. The betrayal tasted sweet in that moment. As Leah reached him, he reached for her hand, beaming. The priest began the familiar words, voice echoing softly through the vaulted space. Guests smiled, cameras flashed. No one noticed my still figure in the back row yet. The ceremony edged closer to the vow. Michael leaned in, his voice thick with fake devotion. I can't wait to start forever with you. Leah's lips barely moved. You will. Then came the line. Do you, Michael James Carter, take this woman, Iris Marie Franke, to be your lawfully wedded wife? Leah lifted the veil. The sound that followed wasn't music, wasn't words. It was a collective gasp, 100 voices inhaling shock at once. Michael's smile froze. His pupils shrank. His entire face collapsed into horror. Leah, his voice cracked. Where's Iris? The murmur turned to an uproar. Guests twisting in their seats, whispering, pulling out phones. My mother's hand flew to her chest. My father's jaw clenched so hard I thought his teeth would break. Michael stumbled back. This isn't funny. Where is she? That was my cue. I rose from the pew at the back, calm, as if I'd been waiting for this all my life. Every head turned toward me as I stepped into the aisle, dress trailing behind me, no veil to hide my face. I'm right here. Gasps turned to shouts. My cousin covered his mouth. An old family friend muttered a prayer. Michael's face drained of color. Iris. I held up my phone thumb, hovering over the play button. Should I let everyone hear what you said at your bachelor party? Or do you want to explain why you're marrying my sister in front of 200 guests? Leah flinched. Michael's parents shot out of their seats. Confusion etched across their faces. My mom whispered my name like a plea, but I stood tall, unshaken. This isn't what it looks like, Michael stammered. Oh, I tilted my head. So you didn't plan to marry me for my trust fund? Didn't call me clueless while you snuck around with my sister? Didn't tell your friends how easy it would be to rob me? A ripple of whispers cut through the hall. Larry's camera light blinked faintly. Michael lunged forward. Iris, we can talk about this later. No, I snapped, my voice slicing through the chaos. We'll talk now. Here, in front of everyone. Leah's bouquet slipped from her fingers, petals scattering like confetti over a battlefield. Then the dam burst. Leah screamed at Michael. You said she'd never find out, Michael hissed back. You weren't supposed to lift the veil, my father thundered enough. And over it all, I stood steady, watching the empire of their lies collapse in real time. This was my revenge. Not fists, not screaming, but silence, then exposure. I didn't need to destroy them. They were doing that themselves. And the best part, Larry was capturing every delicious second. That night, long after the ceremony had disintegrated into chaos, I was still in my apartment, dress crumpled across the couch, like a corpse of the life I'd just buried. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing, calls, messages, notifications exploding as the video Larry recorded spread like wildfire through our group chat and beyond. I ignored them all. My chest still hurt from holding myself so steady in that church. But silence didn't last long. At 10 p.m. there was a furious pounding on my door. When I opened it, Michael stood there, red-faced, flanked by Leah, and behind them, our parents. His mother eyes blazing. My father arms folded tight. My mother hovering, torn between rage and shame. Iris, Michael's father, barked, "Let us in. We're resolving this as adults." Against every instinct, I stepped aside. The air inside my apartment turned heavy the second they crossed the threshold. Michael lunged first. You've humiliated me. You've ruined us. That video, take it down. I folded my arms. I didn't post it. Then make whoever did delete it, Leah snapped, voice brittle with panic. No, I said simply. Michael's mother gasped. Do you have any idea what you've done? This is defamation. Our family's reputation. I cut her off, my voice sharp. Your son did this. And my sister. I didn't lie. I didn't cheat. I didn't commit fraud. They did. Leah's face flushed crimson. Oh, please. Everyone has affairs. You're being dramatic. I laughed, the sound bitter even to my own ears. Affairs. That's what you call planning to rob your own sister. That's not dramatic. That's criminal. Michael's jaw clenched. His eyes narrowed. Then suddenly he smirked. Careful, Iris. If you don't stop this, I'll tell everyone about your little problem. I raised an eyebrow. My problem? You know, he sneered, the reason you could never keep me satisfied. A sharp silence fell. My parents stiffened. Leah's eyes darted nervously. I leaned back against the wall and smiled cold, deliberate. Oh, Michael, you're confusing me with yourself. Those little blue pills in your medicine cabinet. You told Leah they were mine, didn't you? Leah whipped her head toward him. What? Michael stuttered. It's not... Call him, I said sweetly. Ask him. Leah, trembling, pulled out her phone and dialed. She put it on speaker. The entire room held its breath. Michael, she demanded. Iris says those pills were yours. Is that true? A pause. Then Michael's voice muffled, guilty. Maybe you got confused. The line went dead. Leah's face collapsed. The silence in my living room was deafening. Finally, Michael's father spoke, voice low with fury. This isn't over. You've disgraced us, Iris. You'll regret it. I stepped forward, eyes locked on his. No. The only regret in this room belongs to the man who thought he could scam his fiancé and the sister stupid enough to help him. They left in a storm of footsteps and slammed doors. I stood there shaking, but not from fear. From the release of years of swallowing words I should have said sooner. But the night wasn't done with me. When I finally checked my phone again, my wedding planning group chat was exploding 82 new messages. Michael had gone nuclear. Owen's gay and using me as a cover. Owen cheated with Leah. Owen's in massive debt. Owen's secretly married already. Lie after lie hurled like darts in the dark. Except this time people didn't believe him. The best man replied first, nice try. I've literally seen Iris's browser history. She's not gay. Then Larry chimed in. Leah, did you like this message because you actually slept with your sister's fiancé? The chat blew up with laughing emojis, shocked reactions, questions. But then something better happened. People outside the wedding circle began chiming in. Michael's old roommate from college reminds me of when you cheated on Jessica with her best friend. Same pattern. A former coworker of Leah's. Oh, look, she's doing it again. Last time it was a boss she slept with to get ahead. Piece by piece, the puzzle was coming together. Their betrayal of me wasn't a one-time slip. It was who they were. As I scrolled through the messages, my chest loosened. For the first time since Larry's text that morning, I laughed. Really laughed. Not because it didn't hurt, it did deeper than I could explain, but because they thought they were clever, untouchable. And now the world was watching as they destroyed themselves. The morning after the disaster, I thought maybe, just maybe, Michael and Leah would retreat into silence, hide their faces, let the storm die down. But entitlement doesn't know how to shut up. By noon, Michael was already trying to control the narrative. He went on a podcast, some business show, where he usually bragged about his restaurants to do damage control. I watched the live stream on my laptop, Larry sitting beside me on my couch, both of us clutching mugs of coffee like armor. So Michael, the host began, tone. Careful, your wedding video has over 8 million views. People are calling it the wedding switch heard around the world. Care to comment? Michael smirked, like he thought charm could erase the truth. It's all blown out of proportion. Selective editing. The host blinked. It was a continuous shot. Michael's jaw twitched. I was protecting Iris from a toxic relationship. The host raised an eyebrow. By sleeping with her sister. The silence that followed was delicious. Michael squirmed, tugged at his collar, tried to backpedal. It's complicated. Not really, the host said flatly. You cheated on your fiancée with her sister for 6 months while planning her wedding. Yes or no? Michael's lips parted, closed. Finally, yes. I paused the video. Larry let out a laugh so sharp it turned into a cough. He just signed his own death sentence. And he had. Reviews of his restaurants tanked overnight. Reservations dropped 60%. Investors started pulling out. His little empire was crumbling live-streamed for the world to see. But Leah wasn't about to go quietly either. 3 days later, Larry called me from the pediatric hospital where he worked. His voice was trembling not with fear, but rage. They served me at work, Iris, in front of the kids. Leah's suing me. For what? Invasion of privacy. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. His laugh was bitter. They handed me the papers in the butterfly room, the one where children get chemo. I closed my eyes, fury simmering. They're desperate. Don't worry, we'll fight it. He sighed. The nurses were crying, Iris. Who serves a lawsuit in front of sick kids? Leah, I said flatly. That's who. By the next day, Larry had a dozen lawyers offering to represent him pro bono. The internet had chosen its side. Leah's case was shredded in 48 hours. The judge tossed it out like garbage. But my parents weren't done trying to fix things. They summoned me, Leah, and Michael to a family dinner. Mom called it sorting this out like adults. I called it walking into enemy territory. When I arrived, Leah was already seated, arms folded tight, makeup caked over her exhaustion. Michael sat beside her, trying to look repentant but failing. Dad cleared his throat. Iris, your brother made a mistake. I almost laughed. A 6-month mistake while he was planning to marry me. Mom shot me a warning look. People forgive affairs all the time. I leaned forward, voice cold. Cool. So if Dad had an affair with Aunt Caroline for 6 months, you'd forgive him too. The silence that followed was nuclear. Dad's jaw snapped shut. Mom's face paled. That's different, she whispered. Why I pressed? Because it's me being humiliated this time instead of you. Because you don't want to face the truth about your golden daughter and your charming future son-in-law. Leah's lips curled. You're being cruel, Iris. Michael and I slammed my hand on the table. Cruel is planning to rob your own sister while smiling at her across family dinners. Cruel is letting me buy your dresses, your flowers, your honeymoon tickets while you laughed behind my back. This, I gestured around the table. This is just consequences. Michael's voice cracked. You could fix this, Iris. Tell people you forgive us. Help salvage our reputations. We're family. Family, I whispered. You were family. Past tense. The words hung in the air, heavy and irreversible. Leah tried to soften her eyes, glistening. Iris, we had good times. Stop! My voice trembled, but it was steady enough. You don't get to reminisce. You called me naive, pathetic, clueless. Well, surprise, I figured out your whole plan. And I'm not covering for you anymore. For once, Leah had nothing to say. Mom buried her face in her hands. Dad pushed back from the table. The meal sat untouched, steam curling off the plates like ghosts of what this family used to be. And I sat there heart pounding, realizing something I'd never dared admit until now. I wasn't the weak one in this story. I was the only one strong enough to look the truth in the eye. If I thought the family dinner would finally shut them down, I underestimated the depth of their arrogance. The very next week, Leah's parents, Richard and Linda, showed up at my apartment. No call, no warning, just a heavy fist pounding until my neighbors peeked out their doors. I opened it half out of morbid curiosity. Richard stormed inside like he owned the place, his wife trailing behind, with a folder clutched to her chest. We need to discuss the financial situation, Richard announced. I crossed my arms. What financial situation? The wedding costs, Linda chimed in. We paid deposits. The vendors expect full payment. You need to take responsibility. I stared at them, stunned. Your daughter and my fiancé scammed me for half a year, and you're here asking me for money. That doesn't negate the contracts, Richard snapped. Oh, but it does. I pulled my phone from my pocket and tapped the screen. Emails. From Leah to the florist, the caterer, the photographer, 3 months ago. She spelled out that the wedding was a sham, a setup to trigger my trust fund. That's fraud. Fraud voids contracts. Linda gasped. You hacked her email. No, I said calmly. She used my laptop and didn't log out. Everything auto-saved to my cloud. And now it's evidence. Richard's face purpled with rage. We'll sue. From the doorway, my father's voice cut in. He'd followed them, called by my mother to mediate. His lips curved into a cold smile. Try it. I'm a retired attorney. I'll represent Iris myself. You'll lose before you even file. The silence that followed was delicious. Richard sputtered, grabbed Linda's arm, and stormed out. But Leah wasn't done. Days later, a blog popped up online. My Truth. Surviving a Narcissistic Ex. It was Leah's handiwork thinly veiled. In it, she claimed I'd manipulated her into cheating, that I was emotionally abusive, that I had entrapped Michael with a recording that I'd turned the family against her out of jealousy. For a moment, it gained traction. Strangers who didn't know me whispered sympathy in the comments. Poor Leah, poor Michael. That cold-hearted Iris must have been unbearable. But then the truth started leaking through the cracks. Michael's ex-girlfriends banded together, exposing his serial cheating, with receipts, screenshots, dates, humiliating details. 2 of them revealed Leah had been the other woman in their relationships. Leah's former co-workers piled on posting about her office affairs and manipulations. Every blog post Leah uploaded was met with a barrage of comments armed with proof. Within 4 days, the blog was deleted in disgrace. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Meanwhile, something unexpected was happening with Larry. We spent more and more time together, not in grand gestures, not in sudden romance, but in the quiet moments of survival. Late night phone calls when the noise was too loud. Walks where we didn't talk, just shared silence. The way he'd drop off coffee at my door when he knew I hadn't slept. It wasn't love, not yet, but it was something deeper trust. Then came the revelation that made everything snap into focus. The officiant from the wedding reached out to me. His voice on the phone was hesitant, almost guilty. "Iris," he said, "I need to tell you something." Before the ceremony, Michael pulled me aside. He asked me to make the ceremony not legally binding. Said you two would file paperwork separately for tax reasons. I thought it was odd, but I agreed. "Iris, you were never actually getting married that day." I froze. My grip on the phone tightened until my knuckles went white. Yet it was all for show. He was stalling the legal part. "I'm sorry, I thought I was doing you a favor." My blood ran cold. Michael hadn't just betrayed me emotionally. He had engineered the entire day as a trap. A fake wedding, a planned divorce, a trust fund he'd never legally let me keep. The betrayal sank deeper, heavier, but with it came clarity. Michael and Leah had thought they were playing me, that I was too soft, too trusting, too blind. But the truth was already out, and the world had already chosen sides. All I had to do was stand my ground and let their own greed finish them. The revelation from the officiant haunted me for days. Michael hadn't just cheated. He hadn't just lied. He'd staged my entire wedding as theater, a performance designed to humiliate me and rob me. But irony has sharp teeth, and karma doesn't miss. Within a week, the video of Leah lifting that veil of Michael's horror of my calm voice, slicing the air, hit 15 million views. News anchors replayed it. Morning talk shows dissected it. TikTok turned my words into a meme. Why stand in the way of true love, followed by chaos, sound effects? And while I was trying to stitch myself back together in silence, Michael and Leah's worlds imploded. His restaurants, once the crown jewels of his ego, bled customers. Yelp reviews were merciless. Food was fine, but can't support a cheater who scams his fiancé. Investors pulled out. 2 locations shut their doors within weeks. The third limped along, barely surviving. Leah lost her job at her marketing firm. HR had concerns about professionalism after her blog debacle. Word spread fast. No one wanted the liability of hiring her. I would be lying if I said watching their fall didn't feel satisfying. But it wasn't joy. It was justice. Then came the phone call that changed everything. My grandmother. At 84, she was sharper than anyone gave her credit for. I half expected her to scold me for the public mess for dragging family secrets into the light. Instead, she laughed down the line, her voice warm, crackling. "That's my smart girl. Do you know why I wrote the trust fund the way I did?" I hesitated. "Because you didn't want me marrying young." "No," she said firmly. "Because your grandfather once tried the same trick. In the 60s, he schemed with your aunt's fiancé to fake a marriage and split her inheritance. I swore no one would ever try that with my grandchildren. That's why I added the 5-year clause. If the marriage ends before then, the money goes to charity." I sank into my chair, stunned. Michael hadn't just betrayed me. He'd betrayed himself. His entire scam was doomed from the start. Iris' grandma added her tone gentler now. "The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Remember that." Her words lodged in my chest. A reminder that loyalty isn't about blood, it's about choice. Larry had chosen me. Leah hadn't. And then, as if summoned by guilt, Michael appeared. He showed up at my work one Friday, striding through the office like he owned it. Heads turned, whispers rising. My manager, Beth, looked ready to call security. "We need to talk," he said, cornering me near the elevators. "I'm working," I replied coolly. "This has gone too far. The restaurants are collapsing. Leah's miserable. You've destroyed us." I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "I didn't destroy you. You did. I just refused to cover it up." "You could fix this," he pleaded. His arrogance was cracked now. Thin desperation seeping through. "Tell people you forgive me. Say it was all a misunderstanding. Help salvage what's left." I stared at him, remembering the recording, the smirk in his voice as he called me clueless, the sight of Leah in my dress, the smug certainty that I'd never catch on. "No, Michael," I said softly. "I don't fix liars. I bury them." His mouth opened, closed. For once, he had no words. Leah tried too. Weeks later, she caught me outside a coffee shop. She looked smaller somehow, her makeup smudged her hair unkempt. "Iris," she whispered, eyes wet. "Please, I'm sorry. I made a mistake." I studied her face. My sister. The girl I once shared secrets with under the covers. The woman who had stood by me at graduations, birthdays, Christmas dinners. You didn't make a mistake, Leah, I said finally. You made a choice, again and again. For 6 months, and every time you chose betrayal. Her lips trembled. Can't you forgive me? I already have, I said. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. You're dead to me now. Her shoulders crumpled. She reached out, but I stepped back. The space between us wasn't distance. It was a graveyard of trust. I walked away, my coffee burning warm in my hand, my heart strangely light. For the first time in months, I felt free. Weeks bled into months. The firestorm quieted, but its smoke lingered everywhere. At first, I couldn't step into a grocery store without someone whispering, "Is that her?" The wedding swap woman clips of the video followed me like shadows. But slowly the frenzy dulled, and what remained was something unexpected: peace. Michael's empire was in ruins. 2 of his restaurants shuttered, the third, barely breathing. He sold his Porsche, downsized his apartment, and tried to reinvent himself on social media as a life coach. The comments section told the real story. Maybe coach yourself on fidelity first. Leah, last I heard, moved back in with our parents. No job, no prospects, just endless motivational quotes plastered on a private Instagram account. Rise from the ashes. Know your worth. Comments turned off. And me, I was still standing, stronger than before. Larry and I kept orbiting each other. He never pushed, never demanded. Instead, he showed up in small ways that mattered more than grand gestures bringing soup. When I was sick, fixing a leaky faucet, leaving sticky notes on my door that said things like, "You're tougher than you think." One night, as we sat on my balcony, city lights glittering like 1,000 quiet witnesses, he asked softly, "Do you ever regret it, exposing them so publicly?" I thought about it. About the chaos, the headlines, the humiliation that had become a viral punchline. Then I shook my head. They planned to humiliate me privately. I just moved up the timeline. If truth burns, let it burn in daylight. He smiled, something warm flickering in his eyes. That's why you survived this, Iris. You didn't just endure it, you owned it. I didn't answer, but in that silence I realized he was right. The wedding video became more than just scandal, it became a symbol. Someone even turned it into a documentary wedding switch, When Love Cons. I refused to participate, but Larry did, donating his entire fee to the children's ward at his hospital. Watching him do that, watching his integrity shine, made something inside me ache in the best way. Grandma called again, proud as ever. I knew you'd be the one to break the cycle, Iris. Betrayal runs in this family's history, but you turned it into strength. She told me she added a new clause to the trust fund, the Leah clause, she called it laughing. Anyone who attempted fraud would be disinherited entirely. Her kind of savage. My parents eventually softened. Mom apologized for trying to keep the peace at my expense. Dad admitted he was proud. You could have gone violent, Iris. You could have gotten bitter. Instead, you were smart. You stayed calm. But the best vindication came quietly. From Miguel, my cousin, who had sat silently at the wedding while chaos unfolded. Weeks later, he pulled me aside at a family barbecue. You know why I stayed quiet? Because loyalty sometimes means holding your tongue until it counts. I've got your back. Always. That loyalty meant more than any applause from strangers. The last time I saw Michael and Leah was by accident. A coffee shop, one I used to love, but had avoided since the scandal. They were together, of course. They always gravitated toward each other, parasites, clinging to whatever scraps of attention remained. Leah looked exhausted, mascara smudged. Michael's shoulders slumped in defeat. They froze when they saw me. Leah opened her mouth, maybe to apologize, maybe to beg. I didn't stop. I walked past them, latte in hand, head high. For once, they didn't follow. That's when I knew their power over me was gone. As for Larry, well, we weren't in a rush. We didn't need labels. We needed healing. And in those quiet, steady moments with him, I found something Michael and Leah could never touch: trust. One evening, as we packed up leftover wedding decorations I couldn't bear to look at anymore, Larry laughed. You know, if we ever get married, your cousin Kyle still wants to be best man. I smirked. Maid of honor gets dibs. We both laughed, the sound light and real. And for the first time in a long time, I felt hope, not fragile, but solid. Because here's what I learned. Some betrayals destroy you. Others rebuild you. Mine did both. And I am stronger for it.